Well, well, well.
Yeah,
How goes it, Matty Matt?
I mean, it's a crazy mixed up world.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. Welcome to Conversations with Uncle T and my boy
Man,
Matt Berry. I think we got a good show tonight. What?
it better be. I mean, because we could really discuss this, more than an hour. I know we have an hour, but
Yeah,
good Lord, man,
I
this is.
know. Lord,
I
Lord.
I really hope everyone tunes in tonight, man, because
Yeah, yeah. Let
yeah.
me just start by asking if everybody is okay. All my nieces
Whew.
and nephews.
Well, that's a great question.
Is everybody okay? Um,
Man,
it has been an interesting couple of days, and I think that's a fair question to ask, just to make sure everybody's okay, because there are some of us who are better off than others. But I think that for the most part, we need to keep a clear head and keep things in perspective in terms of just what's really going on in the world, and more importantly, how you are allowing it to affect your life, right?
yeah,
When we talk about politics, which we're going to talk about tonight, with the topic being united we stand and divided we fall. That topic will help us stay focused on what really matters in the end,
yeah,
because we are a nation divided,
yeah,
and we are a nation of 350 million people who have their own opinion, and good groups of us seem to cluster in one direction or the other, and we call them political parties. But
yeah.
at the end of the day, Matt, none of us, no party, no individual has all the right answers. That's what
That's
makes
right.
the country great.
That's right.
And so, with that being said, I would really love to allow this podcast to be a conversation for those who are willing to have one. Some people probably choose not. Some may choose not out of embarrassment or fear or shame or all kinds of reasons. But what I will promise you is that we will not engage in disrespectful conversations here tonight. We will not engage in distasteful name calling. We will
Good.
not attack people because of their views and opinion. That's not who I am, and that's not what we're gonna do here. That includes comments in the segment as well. But I want to make sure you're clear. I really would love to hear your personal thoughts. Be respectful and know that this is an open platform for you to voice your full opinion, because tonight I'm going to voice mine. With that being said, there's a lot to talk about, and absolutely, Matt, in an hour we can't talk about it all. But I do want to kind of touch on some of the highlights of this. I think it goes without saying, this is probably one of the most, what is the right word? It will go down in history, shall I say,
You got a right
as,
word for it?
yeah, I don't know, as one of the most controversial elections ever. Controversial in the fact that we are still a very divided nation,
Absolutely.
in terms of what we think is the right direction for our country. Now, I'm also going to give credit where credit is due. Mr. Trump was able to seize both a popular vote along with the electoral. My personal opinion of the electoral is that it's trash and we should have gotten rid of it a
Yeah,
long time
long time
ago.
ago.
But with that being said, the man has won the popular. Um, that that disturbs me probably even more, that there's enough of us who feel that individual is still the person to deliver on those policies, which is where I want to go with this. I had some really interesting conversation with some colleagues, fellow associates, about their political views and stance, and we got into why we're voting for who we're voting for, and you know, I was able to ask some very honest questions to them, and they were able to do the same back to me. And what I found was that for those who are more aligned with the Conservative Party and the policies that drive that political group, it appears to me from the folks that I've talked to that the driving factor is not necessarily about the leadership to deliver those policies, but just the policies. These are policies that we believe in. These are policies that they feel will take the country in the right direction. And in other words, we don't give a damn who leads them. Satan himself can stand up with fire and brimstone and the whole 9 yards. And if he say, I believe in those policies and I can get you there, they like, then vote him in. Charlie Manson could have said, I believe in those policies. And according to these people, it was strictly about the policies. They would have voted him in because in their mind, I have no choice. I can't vote for Kamala because she doesn't believe in these policies. And these are the policies that will take us in this new direction. And so my question to each of them, each time we got down this road was, so the leader doesn't matter, right? The leader of these, first of all, I don't have a problem with the policies. I think that, as I've said before, policies, both of these parties are needed to fix America, not one side or the other. So even with this current administration, there's some good that's going to come out of this administration, but there's some things that are absolutely not going to get addressed. And it would have been the same way had it been blue. So I get that. But at the end of the day, just like when you work for a company, leadership should matter. And my issue, so that I can now be transparent throughout all of this, was about the leadership. And we can get caught up in all the semantics if we want, but when someone shows you who they are through an actual 4-year presidency, through all the years in between, it's not that complex to me to determine whether or not I believe in the integrity and the worthiness of the individual that we've put into office. I, as a United States veteran, am appalled that the commander-in-chief can be a draft dodger. The commander-in-chief can have a felony conviction. You can't go in the military with a felony conviction, but yet we've given the highest ranking office in the land and the commander-in-chief a pass. And so, when I'm done tonight, I feel like, hey, what's good for the goose ought to be good for the gander. Then, as far as I'm concerned, we need to open up the gates on who we let in. It's a whole lot of people who would have benefited going into the military who had made some dumb mistakes in their 20s, caught some felonies, and couldn't go. Needed to go and get their lives together, needed to go and serve, needed to go and learn discipline, needed to go and shift their lives in a different direction. And they were denied that because of something stupid they had done as kids, even in your 20s, and you catch a felony early. So how we give a pass and let the highest ranking office in the land and the commander-in-chief walk in and take over the military And yet you've got that still happening today. Young men will be young men. We do dumb stuff in our 20s. And then all of a sudden, by the time we try to get it right, we have lost amazing option. I am a firm believer in the United States military. The years that I served in the Air Force shaped me, made me a better man to this very day. And it's another reason why I am so livid at what we've allowed to happen here. I was telling somebody the other day, if I were serving, I would resign under this commander-in-chief. That's how distasteful it is as a military law-abiding citizen to have to serve someone at that level. Now, that's me personally. And there are multiple reasons why. We can get out of the policies. This individual fact is unfit. And that's not just being nasty at him, fact. This is not media spin. Either you got a felony or you don't, fact, right? And at the end of the day, with all that's going on, all that will be swept under the rug just by the nature of how this thing is going down. And I think that's what has most people so disturbed. It's not the loss that was ensued by the Democratic Party that's totally pissed people off. It's the fact that look what you got in exchange for that. And we're not talking about an unknown here. We're talking about a known. Yeah. And so it's very disturbing. Those are not just my opinions. I've talked to a lot of people, and one of the things that I do is I don't get one-sided with this thing. Just like I don't watch one-sided news and say all news is bad. When I'm watching news, I'm watching Fox. That's how I know it's some craziness going on, because I'm watching all the actual channels. I'm reading all the various outlets. So don't come at me with I'm some disturbed liberal lost in this media spin hype. I'm looking at all of it. Here's the one that gets me the worst. Someone has said, a couple of people have said, how nasty and dishonest the Democratic Party has been spewing hatred at these rallies. And I said, you must be living in an alternate universe. I watched Trump's last rally here in Georgia, and it appalled me. Not to mention the one that got all the fan press with all the various speakers like Grant Cardone and others who spewed nothing but hate and distastefulness and just all kinds of stuff. And these individuals are like, the Democratic Party spewed nothing but hate. Like, what planet are you on? Did not happen. And so as I watch these rallies, and I'm trying to, I'm trying to give everybody an honest chance. I don't need media spin. You can't spin what I'm looking at live on television.
Absolutely.
It just came out your mouth. I don't need no spin. They can't do nothing to that. That's what you just said. And you're a grown ass man. That's exactly what you meant. Right. Okay. So when I see these things and hear people backtrack it to make it something else, that scares me more than anything that we're talking about. Is the Kool-Aid that I see people drink. You almost would think we were watching two totally different things, and then come back with the spin to protect what was just said. That's concerning to me. And if that's where we're at, then anything is possible. Here's the other one that is so dangerous. If you demonize the entire media community, that means nobody's reporting anything real. It's all fake. That means you can do anything and simply say it's them. It's fake. It's not real. They're after me again. Do you know how dangerous that means no rails, nowhere, no how. Unfathomable that we have people who have fallen all the way off. And listen to me. I am not saying the media is 100% accurate. That is a business. Yes, they spin. They spin from the conservative side. They spin from the Democratic side. But at the end of the day, all of the media is not out to get Trump. All of the media is not out to completely demoralize the conservative party. There's nothing you can tell me, Nothing you can show me to prove that. So they all have an obligation. And it is up to us as U.S. citizens to ensure that they're doing the right thing. And again, I'm not giving any of them passes when they are spinning, when they are misrepresenting, when they are positioning in a way that is just distasteful. I don't have a problem with them fact checking. People, first of all, if you ain't lying, you ain't got no problem when somebody say, well, we don't fact check that. Okay. I'm speaking truth. I've referenced it. I've done the research. This is fact. You don't have a problem with somebody fact checking something that you ain't speaking facts to. So the whole, they fact check us all, but that everybody should get fact checked.
Absolutely.
That's like saying I'm gonna join the FBI and don't nobody want to get a lie detector test. Everybody get a lie detector test.
No background check or nothing.
No background check. Why you background checking me? Because everybody capable of lying. Yeah. And we should all be in that.
They do that on they do that on every corporate job. It's a background check.
I ain't hired in the
They
one
check for your
yet that
education.
they didn't do the background
They check for
check.
your criminal record. I mean,
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
they
ain't
check
gonna-
the,
and
they
ain't no
check
spinning
the,
it.
they check the
Listen.
resume to see if you really work for this other
Thank
company.
you.
Yeah.
And listen, in the background check, either you did it or you didn't. Ain't nobody yet come back and said we
did.
found
That's
5
right.
DUIs in your background check. Why? Because I ain't never had no DUI. Ain't nobody ever came back and said, yeah, we found this. So it is what it is. It's kind of like the dash once you die. You know, you can't go back and change the dash. You was born on this date, dash. You died on this date. There's no changing the dash. And there's no spinning. This is what happened, period. And so, you know, these are the things that I've been dealing with as I try and get honest feedback from people and hear their thoughts and the why behind why we do what we do. And everybody deserves that opportunity. But at some point, you would think we would say, but with reason, that's not really logical. That's not what's happening here. That's what concerns me about our nation.
Yeah.
You can't survive in that mindset. So we got a little road in front of us, and I'm not here to preach doom and gloom. I know we will be okay. America is resilient. Trump is the enigma today, but 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we'll be talking about how crazy it was. Those of us who was around old enough to remember Watergate with Nixon and all them, we thought we were watching the meltdown of all things then. But here we are. We will survive. We will get through this. This is not the end of the world. So, I think a lot of what I'm saying to people who have just fallen into this place of just, oh my God, it's people that can't get out of bed. Number one, the government at that level ain't doing that much to your everyday world. Think about this, people. Today is Thursday. Thursday to Monday ain't changed that much in your immediate world. And yet we've now elected a new president. What changed at your house other than how you felt? Nothing. And so when we begin to think about what this really, really means, that's why I'm not falling for this. Was your life better 4 years ago? If you had a good job and your money was right and your kids was acting right and your wife was acting right and your husband was acting right and life was good. Why? Because y'all did what you needed to do. It was working out. Your bills was paid. You was going on vacation. You were doing life. Life was good. What's that got to do with Biden or anybody at the presidency level? Just being honest. Not that doesn't ultimately trickle down, but what really matters is what you get up and do every day to make stuff happen. And no seating president who will never know your name cares 2 nickels about you. We control that. We control the happiness of our houses. We control our destinies through education and through different means of making ourselves better for employment or either running businesses, but at the end of the day, acquiring wealth and living our best lives. Yes, the federal government will ultimately have an impact on industries in general, but what happens in my house today, it ain't gonna matter who's sitting in the White House. Trump can make all the promises. Kamala can make all them promises. If Kamala was president today, the only thing be different is we feel a little better. She ain't gonna pay one of these bills. Not one here. Kamala, here. She ain't got not one of these is she gonna take and pay. Because right? None of them. These are still my bills, and it don't matter who's sitting up there, I'm responsible for that. So let's not totally jump off the deep end concerned about my candidate loss. Okay, whatever. At the end of the day, somebody had to lose, somebody had to win. The macro of this thing is in time, we will begin to see some of the trickle down effects of this. Even then, what you're doing in your day-to-day life will matter. 90% of it will be about what you're doing in your everyday life. Are you bettering yourself? Are you at the right place in your employment? Are you doing the things you need to do for your business to grow? All of those things. So, that I say should be our focus versus, my God, my hair is on fire because the Republicans are now in the White House. And same should hold true had it been another 4 years of Kamala. But we are in a place to where we have a tendency to really lose focus on what really, really matters right here, right now. And I'm not saying that the presidency is not important, but I'm saying don't let it completely rule your life, because at the end of the day, that's not what makes your house good or bad. It's a lot of it, 90% of it is what are you doing, right? And yes, it's going to be great if somebody can do something with some of these prices. Yes, it's going to be great if we can get the economy, further stimulated. Yes, it's going to be great if some additional jobs that weren't available going to come into the market. But guess what? New jobs coming into the market are normally new jobs requiring new skill sets. So they can throw all kinds of jobs in the market. If you ain't got some background in artificial intelligence, cloud computing, some technology stuff, 500,000 jobs will come out. And uneducated people in the backwoods and these back hills, you still ain't getting one of them. Okay?
Absolutely.
So the question becomes, what are you doing to put yourself in place in order to take advantage and make your life better? Because the government can't fix that. So there's a lot that we could take away from this. And most importantly, I say take back your own emotions and your own sanity and not let this thing run you into an early grave, because they're going to do what they do.
I totally 100% agree with you. But I also think that I think that there are some things though that we need to be prepared for that could happen. I do believe
There are many.
I believe
There are many.
Yeah, I believe
I'm not dismissing what's going on. I'm just giving you a little control back in your immediate life.
Good. And I do believe that we're going to be all right.
We gonna be all right.
I don't doubt that. I think that being all right may come with some struggle. It may come with some resistance. It may include some things that we don't want to see. But at the end of the day, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. I mean, there are some lunatics and fanatics out here that will probably try to take this thing to another level. But I also think that I honestly believe that even though many of those who voted for Trump are not with the crazy stuff that some of the other people that voted for Trump are with. I don't think all of these people are violent.
I agree.
I don't think all of these people are going to be out here behaving in a racist kind of way. I think they voted for, some people voted for policy, and some people voted based upon color.
Yeah. I
That's
think
it.
that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Some people did.
That we all fell into. Some of us fell into that.
Yeah.
And that happens, I think, in many of these situations. And
but I think also this too. Not only did Trump win the electoral and the popular vote, but they also won the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
So
a lot of power, bro.
It's a lot of that's a lot of power. So you're talking about a party that was just arguing about voting rights, but they didn't have enough power to make the changes that they needed. But now, when you have the Senate and the House and
Yeah.
the presidency, it makes and you got the majority of the Supreme Court.
Right.
It makes it a little bit easier to kind of move forward with,
Right.
voting rights acts, the civil rights acts. A lot of this stuff could be jeopardized and come into play. They're not saying "Make America Great Again" for no reason. It's not just a beautiful slogan, a really hip. I believe that there are some. I believe that there are some who would like to go back in time. But I also think, as I said earlier, there are some who are Republicans and that voted for Donald Trump. They're not interested in going, making America great again by going back in time to reinstitute some of the old behaviors of this country. I say all the time, we're called the United States of America, but I always say we are the yet to be United States of America. This country has never been united.
United.
It has always been divided. I mean, we had a civil war,
Yeah.
and that was a country infighting within. It's a civil war. We were not united. We've always fought over something. And TC, to be honest with you, it wouldn't shock me if we had another civil war. It may not be at the scale that the first one was, but we could definitely have one. It would look different.
Yeah.
But I think that we could have one. You said something, man, really interesting, man. And you said that if I was serving in the military right now, that I would resign
Bro.
under this leadership. And I thought that was so powerful because, you know what, and I think a lot of people that are watching should be able to identify with that and agree with that, because many of us have left jobs. We resigned from jobs because we didn't like the leadership that we were working under.
It's
And
your
we
number
got the heck
one
out of there.
reason. It's
Yeah.
your number one reason for leaving a job, not the company, but your manager.
Yeah.
Your direct person that you report to is the number one reason for leaving a job.
Yeah, it is.
Leadership
It is.
matters.
It
Because
does.
they then become the complete reflection of the entire job,
Of the entire company.
of
They
the
do.
entire company.
They sure do.
And so imagine what we've done. We've taken a flawed individual, unfit for military service,
Yeah.
and placed him at the helm. And so do you think that other countries beyond our borders are looking at this and reveling? His whole thing is about everybody fearing him. Ain't nobody that scared of you.
Yeah.
They're scared of us as a
Yeah.
country,
Yeah.
and they should be. We are
Right.
the most powerful country in the world. And I'll say this to people who might be dismayed by what's going on. If you haven't spent some time outside of the country, this might not hit right. You're living in the greatest country on the planet Earth. I don't care what you think. And most people who disagree, you haven't been out of it. Get out of it to find out how everybody is trying to get here. Okay. And once you see what's out there, pound for pound, there's some great little islands to go live on. I've been considering a few. That don't make them the greatest country. While you down on some of them islands, things like brownouts for power could happen 5-6 hours at a time.
Right.
No infrastructure. All this kind of little stuff. So when I say the greatest nation on earth, I mean pound for pound, everything included, including our mess. You're living in the greatest nation on earth.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not like you're saying that this is the most perfect country.
No, and there's nothing perfect about it.
Nothing perfect
Nothing.
about it. But
But it's
for
our
pound,
mess.
Yeah,
It's our
yeah,
mess, right?
Absolutely.
The baby's ugly, but you better not call her ugly. That's my baby. That's my ugly baby.
That's right. That's right.
And that's that. And don't call my baby ugly, or we might have to do something to you.
Yeah.
So absolutely, that's exactly what I mean by that. And I say that to help bring people back to a place to where we don't throw everything away just based on our current conditions, and that we understand really how great of a place this is to live. Now, I've never used the word perfect, and I won't. First of all, we're talking about a country that was stolen. Okay, everybody is an illegal immigrant. Some of us were forced over. Some of us came over.
Preach, Reverend Caston.
At the end of the day, the only people sitting around going, look at this shit. Look at it. They over here arguing about illegal immigrants. The Indians, the Native Americans sitting out on these reservations are looking at us going, look, Betty, come here. Look at this. Look at it. Arguing about a country that we stole. And I ain't going to say we, because we got pulled into it, but that is the history. We don't ever want to get into the root of this. That's who we are. So say what it is. So that's who we are. That's the foundation of what we've done. And then ultimately, we got the audacity to demonize immigrants. I'm not giving, and let me say this, I'm not giving illegal immigrants passes, okay? I believe we could have done a better job at the border, but stop making the border issue an issue in the last 8 years. The border has been an issue for 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
All kinds of people have been fighting to keep the border right. Now all of a sudden Kamala done just ruined it. Kamala didn't ruin that. No. That was ruined when she got here. It was ruined under Trump. Trump ran on he gonna fix it. They gonna build him a wall. Ain't built a wall nowhere. How easily we forget. All that, they're gonna build the wall for. We're gonna make them pay for it. And now I'm gonna make me president. I'm gonna round them up and run them out of here. Do you know the kind of power that would take? And I don't know the numbers, and I should have done the research. I don't know what it is, but it's a lot of people, lots of millions of people. You would need a whole separate division of the government to just round people up.
It's impossible, man.
Impossible.
I just saw an interview a couple of days ago, and there was I think this was in Baltimore. They were showing them live, and they got a couple of illegal immigrants, and the question was asked of one of the officers, you know, what do you think about this mass deportation and rounding up of illegal immigrants? And that's the other thing too. We got to make sure, you know, that we say this right, because there's a difference in immigrants and illegal immigrants. I hear people saying we're deporting immigrants.
Yeah,
because if that's the case,
those people are illegal.
Yeah, legal. Because if it was just immigrants, then Donald Trump would have to get rounded up. Along with a whole lot of other people, right?
Send his wife right on up out of here.
Amen. But it's illegal immigrants, and this guy said impossible. He said exactly what you said. It would take a whole different division,
whole nother division
of the government, man, to get this done. And so, but I did see today that Trump said that that is the first thing on his list.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like this in January with all the stuff he said. I'm gonna be checking stuff off like, that didn't happen.
Yeah,
that didn't. And this is my point. To simply grab words from someone who is the biggest, in my mind, comment in the world, and hang on them with everything you got and say, yeah, that's what he's going to do, and not put no logical thought behind it. Somebody show me that plan. Show me the manpower and the dollars that we're going to spend to round up that many people. Now, again, I am not for illegal immigrants coming into this country. We as a country should have done a better job with those borders years ago, period. And that every presidency, as far as I'm concerned, has failed at the border. And so with that being said, we need to be thinking about that from a different perspective. And I'm not in total agreement, but I think it's still more logical than to, first of all, shut it down there, and then begin thinking about what mess have we created, and are any of them worthy of getting to citizenship? You got to assess the damage, you know, and you're not going to just make people vanish.
You know what? The other thing is this too. I wonder how big of a role our government has played with allowing some illegal immigrants over here, though. I don't think everybody snuck over here, climbed the fence, jumped a wall, swam
Yeah.
a lake. I think that maybe some of them did, but I do believe that there have been some that the government allowed to be here. Because let me tell you something, Republicans are making illegal immigrants to be Latinos and Hispanics. But
Yeah.
what about?
not real.
But what about the Caucasian immigrants whose work visa has run out and they're still here? I don't think they're gonna go run
Them
mass
down.
deport. No. But the only border they're concerned about is Hispanics and Latinos. That's it. And so it's more illegal immigrants over here than our Latino brothers and sisters, man. That's just crazy.
I'll give you another position on this. So, as with a lot of different situations, they're on the soapbox about these illegals being here, this and that and the other. First of all, they wouldn't be coming if there was not a reason to be here.
Right.
Secondly, if you could wave a magic wand and make all of them disappear, you would collapse American businesses.
Absolutely.
I have many
Absolutely.
wealthy Caucasian friends who have businesses that are 60, 70% employed
Yeah.
by these illegal immigrants. And they know this
Yeah.
to the point where they create fake social security numbers for them and the whole, they know this.
That's right.
Told me they're the hardest working people they've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Know this. And at the end of the day, same people that'll turn around and go vote the Republican ticket to look good in public. But 80% of your workforce for your business is run by these folks.
Yeah.
So that's the double-mindedness that's happening here. And once again, illegals ain't running over here risking their lives for nothing. They know that there is opportunity here from some of the very few people who in public will go and play that conservative card game.
Yeah.
Same way with the this is the other one I got a problem with. I got some friends that are hardcore conservative Christian husbands, fathers, God-fearing, yada, yada, yada. And yet I ask them about Trump and his character flaws and his adultery actions and so forth and so on. And it's almost like they go deaf. This man fits none of that. None of that. And yet for policy's sake, you will allow him to sit in the most powerful office in the world. Again, that to me is extremely contradictory. That to me, that's spineless. If you really are what you say, you just God fear, and for whatever reason, why the Republican and conservative parties feel like they're the party of God-fearing people, which is that just disturbs me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This disturbs me. Like nobody liberal is God-fearing. Clearly not. I'm not even gonna get into that this month, and I'm not gonna go down this whole road of abortion because that's a whole nother slippery slope. But
you might as well touch on it. You might
we
as
will.
well.
Let me say this loud and clear. There are just as many liberal, true Christians as there are conservatives. So stop the madness. Y'all do not own the rights on being God-fearing Christian men and women. So stop it.
Absolutely.
All right. And the churches are full of both of those political parties every Sunday. It ain't a political thing. And if it is, you in church for the wrong reasons. It should be a God thing, not a political thing.
Yeah, because
And
he's not Republican or Democrat.
Come on. And at the end of the day, when we go down that road and then we can't answer that question about a person's character that you so adamantly believe is the right way to do that, that's concerning to me. That's that flip-flop. You want to judge others, and you say you're not judging, but you are, and you want to basically put other people's character on the line as you make a decision about whether you want them to be in leadership. And yet here we have, again, a situation of where highest office in the land, the CEO of America, and we give a pass simply because I want my policies brought through. Let me tell you a story. If you guys have not watched Martha Stewart's documentary. It's on Netflix right now. I implore you, go watch this documentary. She is amazing. I mean, I always liked her, but I really like her now. Here is a woman who became the first self-made billionaire in this country, right? And she paid her dues. Martha went through some stuff, but she's brilliant. She's resilient. She's the comeback queen, all of the above. But here's what happened to her. First of all, she was one of the few brokers to really be in Wall Street. She went from being a model to being a Wall Street exec and made tons of money, but learned the Wall Street game, knew all kinds of people. Fast forward, she's a millionaire now. She's got her empire going. She's trading like most people. She's got some investments, and there's a particular, and I don't know all the details, I can't remember this. There was a particular stock, and most of you who know the story, and she ends up getting an inside trader call from someone who knew that something was going to happen. He reached out to a couple of people. They ended up dumping their stock. Martha ends up being one of them. Word gets around. Federal Trade Committee finds out that he had made some calls and told some people in advance. She ends up getting hemmed up, literally goes to court, literally gets convicted of inside trading, gets sentenced to 6 months in prison, goes in there and, of course, blows their mind and gets all kinds of new ideas from being in there. But when she gets out, she is no longer allowed to be the CEO of her own company because it's publicly traded, and therefore, as a felon, she cannot sit on the board. Got kicked off not only her own board, but she was on the boards of all kinds of prestigious organizations. Had to get off of all of them, had to give up her own CEO-ship of her own company because she was a convicted felon. We turned the tables to 2024. Donald Trump, a convicted felon. Even if y'all gonna make it right, and we all know why he wanted this presidency so bad, because ultimately that would make it right. To even run should have been illegal.
Right.
But the mere fact that we done found a way to allow that to happen is beyond me. How you even get access to the Situation Room if you're a convicted felon? You can't even come in here and discuss what's going on. How you gonna get access to classified information? How you gonna get access to the nuke codes?
Yeah.
How you gonna get access to private places within the White House?
Yeah. He got
As a
the
convicted
backbone,
felon,
man.
I don't even think a convicted felon can go take a tour at the White House.
Yeah.
This fool about to live in it. So it is beyond comprehension for me that we have done something that has never been done before for an individual so unworthy. When we just look at those facts, this is not about just personally not liking him. I'm just speaking to the facts.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is he's a convicted felon, and yet you're about to make him commander in chief. That don't even fly. The fact of the matter is here's a man who dodged the draft with lies about bone spurs, and you're going to make him commander in chief, as we've done once before. Anybody who put their lives on the line as a military person who feels that Trump should be sitting there, there's very few people I will probably discontinue communication with. Yeah. If I find a single veteran in my circle who feels that Trump deserves to be there under those conditions, I really don't want to have too much more to say to you. Because that's an area where we put our lives on the line to serve this country and, of course, our commander in chief. That's right. You're supposed to lay your life down for him. Here's a man who wouldn't even go for you. Yeah. But you're going to put your life on the line for him.
Yeah.
And veterans ought to hear that loud and clear. And that's not what's resonating. Yeah. That's not what's resonating. They giving passes for policy. It's crazy. Oh. Integrity should matter. Period. We have to find a way for those kinds of things to come back into the process. This is not about just battling between who you like and don't like. I don't want it to be that. Some things don't require, rocket science to figure out. But when things are obvious and blatant and sitting in front of us, then the why really does matter. The why and how you still will shift in one direction over another. The deflection of when this person's called out, I want to go talk about the 20 things this person is talking about. I'm not talking about what they're doing. I'm talking about this individual right here, right now. Do you or do you not agree that this individual is or is not fit for this office? Every conversation I had turns into a deflection. Everybody wants to swing into another direction and talk about what else is happening. And I'm just trying to be clear about what is happening with a single individual. There's a lot to discuss, and there are no perfect answers, people. That does not exist. We are a nation of independent ideas and thinkers, and that's good. We are a nation of two parties, and I think that's good. And ultimately, we have to find common ground, or we will become victims of the title of this show. United we stand, divided we fall. The problem is we feel so very strongly as individuals about what we believe that finding common ground gets more difficult the more we stay in that place. And so trying to have an open mind is extremely important. I am struggling with that more than any other time in my life because of this man, not the parties. For the record, I'm a registered independent. I voted both ways and have no problems voting for Republican candidates when the policies that I feel matter most to me are at stake. But no other time have I seen an individual quite like this, representing those policies and those positions. And that is where I draw the line. Many, again, have told me that the reasoning goes beyond this individual's integrity, goes beyond what we might think of the person, and is strictly based in policies. I respect that because I think that there's some things that we need from that book of policies to still make the country move in the right direction, just like there are some things on the Democratic or liberal side that equally keep the company moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, we're in a society to where it's like you either have to have all of the left or all of the right. And I think that's a mistake. It's a total mistake. And that's why we get so divisive, because we can't have both. You're making me choose one or the other, and it's a mistake.
Yeah, it's a huge mistake. You said earlier in the podcast, you said that both parties are needed.
Both
parties are needed, and I think that is one of the major problems in politics. As you just said, it's got to be one or the other. Nobody's willing to reach across the aisle and work together, man. And I think as long as we have that mindset, and it's not just those who are in, it's not just the politicians, but it's us who do the voting, who vote these people in. We have the same mentality that the politicians have. We don't want to work with each other, and it has to be some compromise on both sides. It cannot always be my way or the highway. Yeah, that's crazy. You cannot tell me that there aren't some Republicans who have great ideas and Democrats who have great ideas, and they can't get together and sit down at the table and really iron this thing out. And it has a lot to do with just power and selfishness.
Yeah.
Many of the politicians, from my perspective, this has nothing. When I hear them say stuff like I spoke with the American people, and the American people told me this. You never called me.
I ain't got that call either.
I didn't get a text message. I didn't get an email. I didn't get a smoke screen.
Nothing.
nothing. So you can't say the American people because I'm an American and you didn't speak with me. But
Yeah.
I just think that, you know, a lot of these politicians are in it for themselves. TC, you know, a lot of these guys go into politics and they have no more money than you and I have right now.
Right. It's a career thing.
But by the time this thing is over, they're millionaires.
Oh yeah.
Millionaires.
Most of them. Yeah.
Right, because you know who they take care of? They take care of their constituents.
With money.
Yes.
Who can do things for me.
That's right. This ain't about
Keep
TC.
this gravy train going.
Yeah, this ain't about Uncle T and
No, sir.
Matthew and anybody else. It's about taking care of my constituents, these billionaires, making sure that they are taken care of because they are going to line my pockets.
Yeah.
And I personally believe that, you know, for the senators and congressmen, that should be a term limit. Nobody should be.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about, man. Listen, how do you be a senator or congressman for 30 some odd years? And I feel the same way about the Supreme Court. There should be a term limit for those, and nobody should get a lifetime appointment to sit on the Supreme Court. That's crazy.
You got 50, 60-year-old mindset and ideas injecting in modern day society.
It's crazy.
There's some stuff you don't even
Ain't no way in the
understand
world.
at that age. You 70, 80 years old. Same way with this presidency thing.
way, man.
There comes a time when you need to just go sit down.
They
I'm
should put an
struggling
age limit on that too.
I'm struggling at 60 something to keep up with these kids. Now you go 10, 20 more years and make serious laws. There's no way. There's no way. And I 100% agree that all of those things should have limitations to them.
I mean, because you
They do
think,
not benefit us by not.
because you think about this, man. As you just said, you think about somebody who was born in the 40s, and their mindset is still thinking things should be run like we're in the 50s and the 60s.
According to
here we
what they
are.
understand. Because
Right.
they don't understand nothing else. They can't even comprehend what's happening.
Yeah, and here we are in 2024. You know what? It's like I think this is a good idea. This is a good example here. My wife and I was riding just the other day, and I got Sirius XM in the car, and so I put it on the Kirk Franklin gospel station, and she was kind of tired, and I'm driving, and I put it on, and she said, "Can you please turn that down or off?" I said, "But it's gospel." She said, "Well, I didn't recognize it. That ain't gospel to me." Let me tell you why. Because my wife didn't grow up with this new gospel now. Because the new gospel music sounds so much like secular music that you can't really tell the difference. See, my wife and I grew up with some James Cleveland and some Andre Crouch, you know, that traditional kind of gospel.
Right.
So if a kid was in our car, 20, 25 years old, and that same song came on, they would probably say, "Hey, turn that up."
Right.
They're gonna bump it, and it's no different than a Congress, senator, president, somebody on the Supreme Court that's 80 years old, and they're trying to inject laws that's played out, man, and it's crazy. Dude, did you see the video of Trump acting like he was performing fellatio on the microphone?
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
Oh man, I saw it. It was disgusting. It was so disgusting. I said,
If nothing
this
else,
is the guy.
unpresidential.
It was disgusting.
It was disgusting.
Disgusting. I don't care who it was that was up there. It could have been my mama.
Yeah.
Disgusting. I'm saying to myself, and people were cheering, and I'm like, is this the guy that you really want to cast your vote to be the commander in chief, the president of the United States of America? Really? This is what you really want? Ain't nowhere in the world I could go into a conference room on the job and my director is in there acting like he's performing fellatio on a mic. I believe every woman in the conference room would get up and walk out. Matter of fact, he'd get fired.
He would
He'd
get
be
fired.
in HR.
HR
He'd be fired
would have fired him.
immediately. Immediately. Yeah,
Even
yeah.
if
It wouldn't
you
even been on your fans
suggested
and buzz.
doing
Everybody
something
in the
like that. Yeah.
he'd have been out of there, man. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how in the world do you accept this? But you know what I said? I now understand how Jim Jones, Charles Manson,
I just said it today.
David Koresh. I understand now. I get it because we have some really simple-minded. Let me refrain. Let me take. Well, I said it, so I can't take it back.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to use names to define people, negative names
That's
to
right.
define people, but we do have in our country we have some people who are easily manipulated, and they have drank the entire picture of Kool-Aid.
Here's
They
the
turned it
most
up
dangerous part of
and
that.
ain't bring it down.
Listen, the most dangerous part of what you just said, these are the very people who swear everybody else drank the Kool-Aid. And
Wow.
they're the ones.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I throw
Right.
my hands up. Because I'm sitting here just like that
Yeah.
situation. You saw that with your own eyes. You know how distasteful that is. We already know what would happen to you in corporate America that day. You would have lost your job. So in the logical mind of a typical person, you'd be like, that's just wrong. No, sir. You will have a group that believe in him and his policies who will either say stuff like, that's not what he meant. Or what about when Kamala did,
Exactly.
that's where they like, what the what? What? That,
Yeah.
and then come back and say, the media made it sound like that. Y'all need to find a better source. Like, it makes my head spin. I'm like, I'm not like a stupid guy, and nor am I like Einstein. This is not about super intelligence. This is about common damn sense. We're sitting here
Common sense,
observing
man.
something so obvious, and yet we want to give a spin to it. There's no spin. There's no spin in that. That's what he did. That's what it was. It's unpresidential. It's ungentlemanlike. It's un-everything. Say that, and then let's talk about why you don't want to do nothing about it. But first, just go on and acknowledge it. Yes, he did do that. Do we think that that's a good thing? No, we don't. Okay, but the spin, and that's not really what it was. Oh, but what about when Biden said I didn't? We ain't talking about Biden right now. Right now, I'm looking at some mess that is completely unpresidential. So my concern over the next 4 years is the shenanigans have just begun. Y'all mark my word.
You ain't
Play this
lying.
back. Play this back about February, March, April. I'm going to play this back. We have only begun to see things that you're just not going to believe. Why? He ain't got nothing else to lose. He got 4 years. You can't run again. He's run his whole campaign on not being on script at all. In the rally in Georgia, he was like, I haven't paid attention to the prompters all night. Now, isn't it nice? Aren't you glad that I'm not talking crazy? No, you should have been paying attention to the prompters. You should have been.
Did you see
staying
one of
on
the
script.
rallies where he played music? Did you see one of the rallies where he had him play? He just played music for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, just
Ave Maria. What somebody fainted out in the crowd and they fell out, and he said, "Put on Ave Maria," and they go and tend to the person who fell out, and he's just sitting up there swaying to the music, man. The interview it never took place because he said he would like to hear the music instead. I mean, this man is off the rocker, man. I mean,
just different. It's
crazy,
yeah, and again, I hate.
but
beating
TC,
a
we're
dead
part
horse.
of the media now, man.
I
We
guess
are the media now.
I'm going
We
to
are,
report
but
it
you-
as I see it. I don't need a spin.
See it,
I don't
right.
as I see it.
That's right.
I don't need to spin it. I
Right.
don't need to doctor it. I don't need to do
Right.
anything. I'm gonna report it, and I've
It
mentioned
is
that.
what it is.
It is what it is. I'm gonna call. Guess what? I'm gonna give credit where credit is due.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
You know, we're looking at the stock exchange right now. But I'll tell you this. I was having a meeting with my financial advisor last week who had already said, listen, We want to get some of your portfolio in line for the presidential election. Why? Because in all presidential elections, the market does a hockey stick forward. So get ready. No matter who they're going to elect this week, you're going to see a hockey stick forward. Mark my words. He told me that earlier in the week, and here we are talking about it. Great. I don't really care.
Right.
Simple fact of the matter is, that's a good thing. The fact that Trump was able to make that thing swing, that's a good thing. Credit where credit is due. What else you got? But you can rest assured, I'm counting them all. Credit where credit is due, taking it where you don't deserve it. Rest assured. One thing about what we have left as American citizens is our voice. And again, I'm not here to waste my time demonizing this man or anything like that, because he does that well enough on his own. But what I'm not going to stand by for is the craziness of looking at something with my own God-given eyes and then have somebody tell me it's not what you see. That I will not tolerate over the next 4 years. It is what it is, and we're going to call it as we see it.
Wow. Yeah. Did we have anybody online today, man? Anybody?
I don't know. So this is going to be interesting, and I definitely wanted to open this up. Here are the rules. There are really no rules other than I would love to hear from anyone who would like to join the show and voice your opinion or your why for one candidate or the other. This is not about demonizing the opposite candidate. If anything, let the conversation be about the why you chose your candidate, right? And if you are at that point open to questions from others, maybe you can be that person to give some light to some of the questions that we have if we're on the opposing side. But this will be interesting. I think a lot of people are going to be on the fence, maybe not. I don't want to get darts thrown at me. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, let me pull together.
I'm looking forward to somebody coming on, man. I hope somebody would sign.
Let's see. I'm gonna put a link out. I'll put the link up on. I think the majority of people are over here on Facebook, so I'm gonna go to our Facebook page and I'll place a link in the chat. And if you are interested, you can join us, and I will invite you into the room. And we'll do this for the last 15 minutes or so. Keep your comments short. Give us the why. The question is, give us the why behind who you chose to lead the country. The why. And if you're open to taking some questions from others who don't understand your why, then we'll let those questions come in and you'll be able to answer them. And we'll keep it civil, and this isn't about name calling and any of that. I'm not gonna tolerate that, but I say if you're bold enough to vote for somebody, you should be bold enough to speak to it, right? And just like if you didn't vote at all, you shouldn't even be watching my show. I got no respect for anybody who didn't vote at all. Zero.
All right, nothing. TC. Uncle
Say
T?
Nothing.
Uncle T?
Nothing. You are
all right.
in timeout for 4 years. You are in timeout for 4 years. Do not talk to me if you did not vote. Time out for 4 years. Nothing to say. In the chat is a link to StreamYard. Anyone, and I'm going to leave it open for a little bit, who is interested in being on the show with Matt and I and simply answering questions as to the candidate that you chose and why, and then possibly taking some questions from our audience, you are more than welcome to do so at this time. And we'll give that a little bit to see if anybody pops up in the green room. And then we'll kind of go from there. It'll be interesting. Like I said, I think what's happening right at this point though is there's just a lot of people still processing, and you're gonna have that no matter who won this thing. One half of the country was gonna wake up in disbelief. The other half was gonna probably stay up all night and rejoice with your candidate. That's just how it goes. But at the end of the day, the games have just begun. We haven't
Yeah.
We don't know what this thing is about quite yet. That's
Yeah,
just about to get started.
you know what? He hasn't moved in yet.
Right.
So once he moves in, he hasn't had the inauguration yet. So
Yeah.
but once we have an inauguration and the keys to the White House are given to him, then that's when the fun.
Well, I'll tell you something that I already saw that I was like, not that I didn't expect it to be that way, because if you remember when Trump lost, it was pure chaos. No concession. No, I'm not going to invite them to the White House. Nothing, just
no storm in the Capitol.
Nothing. Yeah, right. Nothing that was supposed to happen happened. Once again, back to character. And in this, Kamala conceded, gave a nice speech speaking to that, told people this is the way that power should transfer, that this was a fair and square deal, da 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 da. Biden has reached out already, invited him to the White House, da 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 da. That's how it's supposed to work. Conservative Party, what happened to Trump when he lost last time? When I tell you none of that. These are the things that we're talking about in terms of just a flawed person for office. That's all I'm saying. And again,
you know
what is the reason behind that?
Yeah, I really believe. Let me ask you the question: do you think that if the turnout had been different, do you think Trump would have accepted it?
That's my internal.
Honestly,
I don't think
well,
you can change a man like
you
that.
hate to judge people based on.
I know it.
I
want to believe that everybody can get
based
better
on their past behavior.
I want to believe everybody can get better.
Yeah.
I don't think
He hasn't shown you that though.
No.
Yeah.
No, and definitely
Because I
throughout the
think he already
campaign
had
with
some
the
things in
speech.
place.
Yeah, I know. And you had already, once again, back then it was already throwing out conspiracy theories that stuff was rigged, and just getting ready for the fact that if I lose, then it's rigged, but if I win, then it's not. That kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
He'd
already said he was not. He said he was not going to accept it if he lost.
That's what I'm saying.
He was going to war. He's going to call his people, and they're going to war.
The mere fact that someone can say that at that level, that don't bother nobody. What, he just playing? He just playing, huh? He don't mean that.
Nah, cause these are not jokes.
Never have been.
It's real. No, it's real.
Never have been.
It's real, man.
And even when it was going down before, and same feedback, wasn't taking him serious. Whatever. When I watched January 6th, I was like, oh my God. Right then, I said, his own people get it now. I said, oh, that's it. Now they get it. Pence running for his life. They get it. I said, this is a done deal. Here we are. Yeah. Just like ain't none of that happened.
Well, I think 47, I think it was 47, 48%. No, it was more than that. I think it was over 50%, close to it, of Caucasian women that voted for him. 20% of African American men voted for him.
I love to get one of them brothers on. I just like to hear their thoughts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had already said that if he got 20% of the male African American vote, that he would win, and he got exactly 20%.
Interesting. Yeah,
20%.
I don't think no one in my circle would ever tell it. I don't know one person who I even think is a conservative who would ever tell that. I'd love it if they did, because I'd love to hear their thinking just based on the stuff that we're talking about. And again,
Yeah.
policy wise, I could vote for the Republican Party policy. Absolutely, I could. I could.
Well, he
There's some
never
things
gave
that I
us any
still want
policy.
from the other side.
But he never gave us any policy. His policies were only, he only talked abortion and immigration.
Well, he never
I
gave us
didn't
any
hear
plans.
anything else.
I ain't heard
Any
no plans.
plans.
Yeah, the policy
Yeah,
itself though is economics. Do we need to get the economics right? We do, absolutely, we do. And are the economics better now than they were when he was in office? Economically, this is data. You can look at it. No, it is not. Inflation is high. So these are the kinds of things that both parties are
Inflation is down.
Inflation in
ATC,
general.
listen to this. Inflation is down, unemployment is down, the stock market is up. Now, but let me check this out. A year from now, he's going to be vintage Donald Trump, and he's going to take the credit for inflation being down, unemployment being down, and the stock market being up, because that's where we are right now. And he is not the president of the United States. Well, he just got voted in, but under Biden, the inflation is down, unemployment is down, and the stock market has risen. But
You have to go
will
reference
take
the inflation now.
credit.
Reference
Yeah.
the inflation down from where? See what I'm saying? Under the Biden administration,
Okay.
inflation is higher. That's the issue. It's one of the issues that Kamala couldn't pull this thing off. People, even if they liked her, if you strictly a policy person and you got to just look at the numbers, Biden failed in some of those areas. She only had 100 days to run. That ain't a lot of time.
Right.
And if you also got
Right.
some weight hanging off of what didn't work, that's a fact, then that don't get you over. If this thing had had a better track record, Kamala would be the president. But you had people who had to say,
I heard
let me run the data, and the data don't work for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would be great, but the data don't work. I know people who have spun and went in that direction due to the current data. Yeah. It's
I
a
heard
tough one
somebody
either way.
say that. I think you mentioned it too. Yeah, I think you mentioned it, and I heard it as well from someone. They said that I read this one guy said he has a small business, and his small business was better. It made more money under Trump's administration. And my question was, what exactly did Donald Trump do that made your small business better? Because just from what I've read, Trump was handed a how can I say this? I'm trying to give a good analogy. Obama handed him a really great economy.
Oh, for sure. And we
great
forget
economy.
the crappy, that's the best word I can use on air,
Yeah.
economy
What
that
was given
Obama
him.
was handed. Remember, this is
Yeah,
08,
he
09.
inherited.
It was
he
we were
inherited
in
a really bad
free-fall
economy.
disaster.
He
Totally like he didn't do nothing.
Yeah, and it took him 2 terms. He couldn't have gotten it done in 1 term.
Correct.
He had to have 2 terms to get it done. But the
Correct.
bottom line is, he got it done. So he handed Trump a Rolls Royce,
Yeah.
running really
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah.
Trump took that Rolls Royce and ran it in the ground.
For sure.
By the time his last year in office, this place was a mess,
Yeah.
because all he had to do was maintain what was given to him.
He was undoing as much as possible.
He undid
based
a lot,
on
man.
Policy.
He did a lot.
Policy.
You know, I'm looking at Kamala's her policy, right? And she talks about cutting taxes for middle class families, making rent more affordable and home ownership more attainable, growing small businesses and investing in entrepreneurs, strengthening and bring down the cost of health care. I think Trump wants to get rid of Obamacare. Protect and strengthen Social Security and Medicare. I think the Republican Party really wants to do away with Social Security. Support American innovation and workers. Provide a pathway to the middle class through quality, affordable education. Invest in affordable child care and long-term care. Lower energy costs and tackle climate crisis. Restore and protect reproductive freedoms. We didn't want to touch on that tonight. Protect civil rights and freedoms. Make our communities safer from gun violence and crime. She says also secure our borders and fix our broken immigration system. Tackle the opioid and fentanyl crisis. Ensure no one is above the law. And stand with our allies, stand up to dictators, and lead on the world stage. Invest in America's sources of strength. Support service members, veterans, their families, caregivers, and survivors. These are the things that she stood on, and I think those are some very, very good things. Now, you do know that under this new administration that's coming in, that they really want to get rid of the Department of Education.
Yeah, just absurd. Absurd.
Listen, man. Do you know? I read this report, and I don't know how true it is, but it said that the majority of the population in America is reading on a 5th grade level. That's crazy. I don't know
Which
anybody.
the majority of
you know
news
what I'm saying? But I'm
publications
just-
are written on a 7th grade level, though. So that's been the standard for
well,
many years.
but you know what? But you know what though? You have to do that though, because even in ministry,
down.
exactly. You want to so that everybody
Get a common
understand.
ground for it, yeah.
But right, but for the majority of this country to be reading on a 5th grade level, and
Yeah,
then you're
that's a
talking
problem.
about doing away with the Department of Education, that's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
That's a problem.
That's crazy. And then
And
you
the fact
got
that we
books
gotta-
that are being banned.
We got to compete on the world stage, not just against ourselves.
Right.
So that's a problem.
Oh man.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to be
Yeah, man.
ramping up, not tearing down that.
Yeah.
institution.
So you know what I told my wife, man. I've been telling my wife, Uncle T. I've been telling my wife this for a couple of years, man. That I've been thinking about running for city council here in Little Elm, Texas, man. And
Okay. Nice.
I really think I'm gonna go ahead and get busy and do my research, man. And I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do
it's
it. And,
funny
and,
because- I was just gonna say. I mean, first of all, I'm glad to hear you say that. But do you know that is an area that I've never really wanted to be in politics, because I think that comes with restrictions that go against my grain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I think my voice doesn't fit in any one box. And the minute you get in politics, you gotta pick a side. It's the reason that ain't no independent president right now. Cause ain't nobody gonna ever
Right.
be in the middle. We won't be either over here or over there. Now the beauty of being an independent is I can go where my heart leads me. That's why I stand firmly on that. Because there, like I just said at the beginning of the show, there is no way the Democrats got all the answers. There's no way the Republicans got all the answers. And I'm not going to just blindly vote one ticket because I'm that dedicated to this party. If you're wrong, you're wrong. So that means that on that seat, I'm not voting for a Democrat or I'm not voting for a Republican.
Yeah.
I want the right to do that. That's me. Now, somebody got to be in politics, and therefore you will have to fall into one of those camps. But
my thing would be more to hopefully to bring both parties together. And to be honest with you, man, I would really consider running as an independent. I really would. Now, when you go to vote, it doesn't say Republican, Democrat, or Independent. Your voting register, the card that you have, it only has Republican and Independent. But what if we had a third party, a strong third party?
It says Republican
and
and
you
Democrat.
had a whole list. Right, it says Republican and Democrat. It doesn't say independent.
No
But what if we
independent,
had a third party?
yeah,
What
we
if
should.
the independent became an actual third party?
I
So
think it's
now
our
you would have
salvation if we
three
could ever.
columns.
Yeah, yeah,
You'd have three columns: Republican, Democrat, and Independent. And
yeah.
so this is what I'm thinking here, is that now people who are independent are gonna vote straight independent. It makes it no better than the Republican or Democrat. It's just like in religion, you have all these different denominations, but then you have some churches that say that they are non-denomination.
Non-denomination.
But guess what? But guess what has happened? Non-denomination has become a religion now.
In and of itself.
I'm non-denomination in and of itself. You're non-denomination. I think it would be the same thing for independence. So, but for me,
And it is
man,
a
it's-
blend. I attend one, so I know it is a blend
Yeah.
of those other denominations.
Yeah.
The things that they've
Right.
said that, you know what, they had that part right. We're gonna take that, and they said, oh, you know what,
Yeah.
they had that part right, and we're gonna take that. That right there, that was man-made, way off basis, ain't got no foundation. That we're gonna leave that right over
Mm-hmm.
there, because that's what makes you up, blah blah blah, and that's what makes you up,
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. I 100% agree, and I joined a non-denominational church 25 years ago for that exact reason, because I grew up in this world of Baptist and Pentecostal. And if you want to talk about some division stuff and some folk getting caught up in,
Oh, yeah.
but we do it like dit, and we do it like dit, and I said, y'all got to be crazy. All this is crazy.
Well,
if,
you know,
if we splintered like that about Christ, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because all of those denominations that you name came out of a denomination. You got Baptist, then you got Pentecostal, the Church of God in Christ comes out of a Baptist church, because they said that the Baptists were a little bit too loose. So you get the Church of God in Christ. Then then you got the Church of Christ, who said that the Church of God in Christ, they was a little bit, so now you got the Church of Christ. So all of these different denominations came right out of a denomination. So if we get an independent party, you're gonna have some Republicans and some Democrats, or people who put, like you said, pulling from I agree with this one and I agree with this one, put it together with what I believe, and make an independent party. Because for me, even in a non-denomination, there are some things there that I see that I don't agree with, but I mean, to each his own. But I don't want to go into a religious thing. But I'm really strongly considering running, man, because I believe that I could make a bigger difference on a local level. I like to be. I want to be in the mud, man. I'm getting in the dirt.
That's
I
where
wanna
you at,
be
though. That's how you
grassroots.
roll. Yeah. Yeah. I think that you can make a difference there.
I really am. And hopefully, if I do that, hopefully that I can be able to reach across the aisle and work with a different, Republican Party or Independent or Democrat, whatever it is, man. But I'm all about bringing everybody together, man. I really don't care about that other stuff. I believe that we can all work together. I think you led this off perfect, man, today by saying that both parties are needed. I just think that was just an awesome statement, man. Both parties are needed. We can't just be all Republican, all Democrat. Both parties are needed, man. Period.
That's what makes
that was a beautiful statement there.
The United States of America. And now all we got to do is find some happy medium to put those things into real practical use. Unfortunately, it's all lip service. And you hear both of them say, I'm going to reach across the aisles. Nobody does that enough. It should be why you go to work every day, is to understand your position and understand their why. You already know your why, but have you taken time to understand their why? And then make some decisions. Unfortunately, they get in their own little clubs, make up their own little rules and why they want it one way or another, never considering what the other party is really about. It's got to be they way or the highway, and then they bicker and argue until we make them do something different. That's the problem. So I would love to see more people go to D.C. or in local politics come into it. with their common goal being, I am going to bring the parties together. That means I'm going to give up some stuff and I'm willing to
Right.
listen to some stuff. See, ain't nobody coming in
right.
saying I'm willing to give up. They coming in going, I'm gonna get some stuff
Right.
done. You gonna
Right.
do it like this.
Right.
And that's a miss. It don't work that way.
Right.
So absolutely, more power to
Absolutely.
you. I come over there and help you run if you take that position
Yes.
in local
That's
politics.
what I'm talking about, man.
In
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
just, your main goal is to be able to divide, to conquer the divide between people and find common ground.
Right.
And it's okay to disagree, right? But to at least
right.
respect the
Right.
positions and the why, and use that knowledge to think about the next thing. Okay, well, that didn't necessarily go the way they wanted, and we kind of want. But on this next thing, now that I know how they think, I'll make sure I can make that a little bit more inclusive in my next idea, right? Versus
Right.
it's
Right.
our way or the highway, and everything y'all doing is wrong, and we're the salvation. Everybody think we're the salvation of the country. The period. And if you choose us, you're gonna survive, and if you don't, the country gonna die. That's all I've heard. That's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. That's
but
what,
you
that's
keep
what
on
both
playing,
sides,
and
both
that is
sides
a
are
way to
selling
take
that.
us down. Ain't but one way to take
Yeah.
this
Both
country
sides
down.
are playing. Yeah. Both sides are playing that card.
Yes, they are.
They're playing. Both sides are playing that card.
Yes, they
Vote
are.
us, and we survive. Vote them, and we're
And you
we're out of
don't.
here. You know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
doomed.
Yeah. I don't know of a powerful
yeah, but
country
man.
that had not gone through that, and in all of them, it was division from within that took them out. And nobody came across the pond and took nobody down. Division from within.
Yeah.
Divided we fall.
Man.
All right, sir. Well, I think people chose to lay low because they either didn't want this heat in the kitchen, or they just just didn't want to get into their why. But it is what it is, and not that it really matters because the decision has been made at this point, and we're all going to live with that, deal with that. And my job over the next 4 years is to hold everybody accountable for what you said. So if it's what you say, I'm here to hold everybody accountable for what you said. And I will give
And
credit
you
where
know,
credit
and
is
TC,
due.
and I think, man, you know what, for you and I, I think we have a responsibility going forward too, man. Not to just hold these politicians' feet to the fire and tell them that they need to start working together and reaching across the aisle, but I think we also have a responsibility to do the same thing.
As
We have
as
friends,
citizens, I agree.
co-workers, as
I
citizens.
agree.
Yeah, we need to reach across the aisle too and
Yeah.
try to understand one another.
Yeah.
And I think if it starts with the citizens, maybe it'll work its way on up.
Yeah.
Because it'll make it hard for the people at the top to continue on with this division that's going on.
That's so true.
If ordinary citizens would get together and work together, it'll make it tough for them to continue with this crazy stuff. If you don't vote for us, then something's wrong with you. Or
Right.
the country's not going to make it. So
Right.
that is my takeaway, and I just believe that just was given to me as you and I are talking. That I think that's a good
I love that
responsibility.
thought.
And that's what I'm going to share, man.
Yeah, I love that thought. I believe that it is spot on, even right down to the message here again. United we stand, and divided we fall.
How did we fall?
And so, unless we begin to figure out what our common ground is and respect our differences and know that no one party has all these answers. And so if it's 10 things that you're shooting for, you can't have all 10. You can't have all 10.
right.
Nobody can.
Yeah.
So settle on getting 7 of them. Settle on getting 6.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And know that there are other people. And here's the other thing. Everybody don't think like you. This is the other thing that I've learned talking to a lot of folks. We get into our own head. Well, people should do this and and I was thinking to myself, everybody don't think like you though. Everybody don't come from your walk of life. You
Right.
don't know everybody else's walk of life. So where that sounds
That's right.
really logical and sensible to you, until you walk in some other shoe, you have no clue what other people are thinking.
Right.
And unless you're a
Absolutely, man.
well-traveled person who, here's one I tell people all the time. Everybody like to think they know all kinds of people. Here's one that I challenge you on right now, every single person under the sound of my voice. Your friends list tells me how diverse you really are. It's one thing for you to say you understand. Check your friends list. I've done it for 10 years. People don't know I do it. 10, 15 years. This has been one of my ways of reading people. I hear what you're saying. Oh, I love everybody. If your friends list is 99.9% black and you're a black person, there's some stuff you missing. If your friends list is 99.99% white and you're a white person, you're missing some stuff. So you can tell me what you want, but the bottom line is that is a reflection of what you know and you understand, because we only understand when we get in an environment where we can have good conversation with people that are not like us, that don't look like us.
That's right.
When the last time somebody of another ethnicity was in your house, at your dinner table,
Right.
in your car? I ain't talking about work. Work don't count. You're forced in that environment. In your house,
Right.
in your car, right? So don't tell me you understand the other side. Most of us don't,
Right.
because we live in our own worlds. And if anybody, I'm going to say it because it's true, we as people of color get a little bit more balance than others, because when we walk out of our house, we got to go to a job that is predominantly not us. So that becomes our little versatility. Then we come back to our world. Whereas if you're not a person of color, you leave your little house, you go to your little job, the people you interact with here in the country probably look just like you too. And every now and then you got a little friend that you might talk to. But for the most part, your world is consistently a singular group of people. I'm not making nobody feel bad. I've studied this.
Oh no, that's facts.
And that's
facts.
fact.
That's facts.
So when we talk about understanding these problems on a macro level, the first thing we got to do is get out of ourselves. We got to get out. You got to know some people personally for them to share their personal story with you. So while you sitting here thinking it ought to be this way, until you understand another group of people at that level, you'll never be able to help them, because what you are thinking only applies to what you know and the lifestyle that you've lived. And so it's a challenge for all of us to get out of your own space, understand somebody else's culture, someone else's problems, someone else's upbringing. This is back to what you're saying. If we want to challenge our leaders in the political arena, it should start at home. It should start down here at the ground level, that now that I understand my neighbor that I lived next door to for 15 years and I ain't never even been in his house, and now I understand how they live and how he grew up and why he feels the way he does politically. Now all of a sudden, that's the seed that you need to change your heart. Because simply debating about why I chose this guy and why you chose this gal, we ain't gonna get nothing solved. It's when I get to know you that I understand your why. So that's a challenge for all of us as citizens of the greatest nation on the planet, to get to know each other. And I go to a very diverse, and they pride themselves, a diverse church that's about 40-60, okay? 60% white, 40% black. And they pride themselves on, this is what heaven looked like, right?
Yeah,
This is what heaven looks like.
absolutely.
Because if you think you're going to sit in a black church and a white church your whole life, and when y'all go to heaven, you're going to get to heaven, it's going to just be y'all, you are so sadly mistaken. But more important, they also
Or it's going to be,
that, or what?
no, I said, or they get to heaven and they think it's going to be segregated, where it's going to be a white section, black section,
Correct.
Latino,
It ain't like
Latino
that.
section, Asian
It ain't
section.
going to be
No.
like that. And so I've learned some things there that I also keep dear to me in terms of my understanding the why for people. And that's the only way you can speak from a central position, is that you've taken time to understand someone outside of yourself, a culture outside of yourself, the challenges that come with that, the privileges. Sometimes we don't understand people because we don't understand the privileges that they came from. That's why they think that way. So taking time to know who we labor with is critical. And it feeds into this political machine that we are all a part of, whether you like it or not. And it helps us to produce the why. And everything changes when you know the why. And that's fact, when you know the why. I have a story that I'm going to end on because the why is so important. Doesn't look like we have anybody who wants to come on, so I'm going to just use these last 5 minutes because we're long today, but hey, it's our show. The why is so important because it changes things. There was a story about a young boy whose father lived with him, grandfather. And the grandfather was injured and was not able to walk, and a whole lot of other complications. And he lived with the little boy and his mom and his dad. And the little boy was always asked to help take care of the grandfather. Go feed him, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. And as the little boy got older, he became a teenager. You know how teenagers do. Man, I got to feed grandpa. I got to do that. And so one day he came storming in, and the mom told him to go do something for grandpa. Why do I always have to do this and that and this and that for grandpa? I am so sick of it now. I'm trying to go ahead with my boys and da-da-da. He just went on, and the mother just let him rave. She got done. She said, "You done?" "Yeah." "Well, let me tell you why. Because when you were an infant, your dad and I and grandpa were all at the house together, and a fire broke out. We all dashed out the house, ran to safety to notice no one had got you. Grandpa turned around, ran back into the burning house that was collapsing all around, got you, and brought you to us. And in that process, suffered burns and injuries and lung issues and crippledness. And so the condition that you see him in today is because of what he did to save your life." The little boy looks at his mom. This teenage boy was like, "What? Why didn't you tell me this, that, and the other?" She said, "Because you needed the time to understand." And in that moment, the young man's complete attitude changed. Why is that? Because he finally understood the why. I understand the why. This man sacrificed everything for me. And that is why I now serve him. Sounds like a Christ story. I serve him so freely.
I use that same story.
There you go. I was told that story years ago. It sent chills down my arm just like it does now. It's the power of the why. And now all of a sudden it was he humbly served his grandfather for the rest of his life. Why? Because he understood the why. Nothing changed. You still had to do the same stuff, but the why changed everything. So it's the why today as well that we should be seeking in our neighbors and our friends and our loved ones to better understand their condition, so that as we, challenge our political systems and challenge our political policies, that we view them from a perspective other than our own. And that's the problem. We look at these policies and say, that's good for me. There's over 350 million people in this country, though. Is that good for everybody else? Do you care if it's good for everybody else? Or we get into our own convictions. Oh, but I'm a God-fearing this, that, and the other, and da. So anybody doing anything other than this, then you're just wrong. No. We all gonna be so shocked when we leave this planet and God has some real conversations with. You get caught up in your 10 little things that you do right. When he whip out all the stuff you've been doing wrong, The stuff
man.
behind closed doors in the dark in your mind in the late
That's
night,
right.
and you caught up over here on these 5 little things. But I'm a God fearing. I do a family that. What? When he get deep into who you really are, all of that little polishy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So understand the why.
Yeah. It's all about the inner being is who you really are. All
That's
this
who you
stuff on the
really are.
outside,
Come on,
the
man.
house, the car, the
man.
clothes, none of that
man.
describes who you really are.
Who you really are.
Is on the inside, man.
That's right. So be humble. Stop that self-righteous, I do it this way, so everything that's got to be wrong. You know what? One of the things I've learned the last couple of years of my chaotic life is it's a whole lot of stuff I don't understand. I thought I was a pretty smart guy. I don't know nothing.
Man.
But God.
But
that's all I can say.
TC?
But
you know
God.
What? Hold on. You see that circle?
Uh-huh.
That circle represents the arena of knowledge. And if I were to ask you how much of this arena of knowledge that you know, and I want you to draw your own circle in there. How big
I
would your
couldn't get
circle
no
be?
circle. It would be a pin dot. You take a pin and you'd have to just put a dot on it.
Absolutely.
Nobody could get a circle.
Now, when I was in seminary, a professor did this, and he had us come up and put how much of the arena of knowledge.
People put circles on that?
All these preachers and pastors came up, boy, they were drawing big circles in there, man. I got up there and did the same thing. My circle wasn't big, but I put a nice size circle in there. Man, and the professor, he had it on a chalkboard. He took his chalkboard and hit the chalkboard. He said, that's about how much all of you really know. Put it all together. And then he said, but this is this right here though. He said, but God exists outside of the arena of knowledge.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he put all this stuff in motion, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
when you say there are some things that you don't know, that's humility.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir.
Some things none of us know, man. You know, that's why we got to quit pretending like we know everything.
Yeah.
You know, I just told my grandson the other day, yesterday, I said, man, listen, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
Don't make it up.
That's
You
right.
just don't know. Just say, I don't know.
Welcome
I said, but don't leave it at that.
welcome
Go
to
and do your own
humanity.
research, man. Yeah.
Welcome to humanity. My. All right, sir. We're going to lay this one down.
Great
Nice
show,
and
man.
long.
Yeah.
It's good. Boy, but these
Good
nieces
conversation.
and nephews was quiet tonight. They was quiet, Matt. It was quiet.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Look,
It's okay.
look, they're gonna go back and check it out. They'll go back and check
it's
it out.
all good. It's all good. Well, hopefully it was good conversation, and I think it was well needed conversation, even if it was just conversation from within, and people just wanted to make it something that they listen to. I'm okay with that as well. But hey, here's the final takeaway: we are all in this thing together, whether you like it or not. And as much as I want to get up some days and go move to Belize, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to take me some trips, and I'm going to take this with a grain of salt. I'm going to continue to do my part. I'm going to make my house work. I'm going to make my block work. I'm going to make my county work. I'm going to make my state work. I'm going to make my surrounding areas work. And I challenge you to do the same. Life is short. I said this in a post. Don't y'all, get all bent out of shape and lose friendships and all kinds of stuff over two people that no matter who went, and now is one person that sits in Washington, D.C. and will never know your name. So stop.
Never.
Stop. He'll never know your name. Yeah. So don't be down here, losing your religion, losing your upbringing, losing your faith, losing friends over somebody who will never, ever know your name. So it's bigger than that. And kind of like politics, it's the ones right at home that matter. So start with kindness and love in your household. Keep the politics under control in your household. and let that take you outside your four walls and get to know some people on a real level so that you can be empathetic to other ideas and other ways of doing things, because none of us have all the answers. There is no such thing as a perfect party or a perfect administration. This one, nor the last one, nor the ones to come will be that. So we're going to ride this thing until it's time for somebody else to sit up there, and we're going to make the best of it. And that's what it's all about. I have nothing further, Matt. Anything else you want to add to it?
No, man. No, you summed it up.
Okay.
Very good. Very well. Very good. This has been a great one, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, again, we appreciate you guys who were able to hang in there with us. This is a nice long one today, but every now and then you just got to get it out. I feel a little bit better. It was a little cathartic just to kind of talk through some of this. And I think some of you may want to do that because I got a friend who's into psychiatric treatment, and she does a lot of telemedicine stuff for clients. And she was telling me the last few days have been like off the charts. Like people are like on the roof, like ready to jump, just meltdowns, people calling, crying, just like really, really bad. I say take back your power. This thing gonna be all right, and it don't matter who's sitting in D.C. Take back your power, get out of the TV, turn off the news cycles, get back into real world and the things that matter. That's the people that you love the most, who are closest to you, and the things that you love doing and the places that you love going, do them. This thing will take care of itself. Yep.
Yeah. I think I need a glass of wine, man, and go to sleep.
Yes, sir. I got a nice bottle of Meiomi down there, and I think it might be calling my name. You hit it on the head. Well, look here.
Yeah,
until next
I haven't been
time.
sleeping well, but I'm gonna sleep tonight.
I know that's right. That's funny too, Matt. I haven't been sleeping well either. I'll tell you something that's been working though is some ashwagandha has really helped in terms of just relaxing my mind. I don't know if you've ever used it. It's a great little herbal pill. Yeah, those have been doing really good for me. But I think you're right. I might add a few fermented grapes on mine tonight and see if it just takes it on down another notch. So all good. Good stuff. Matt, appreciate you, sir, as usual.
Sure.
And listening audience, thank you for hanging in there with us for as long as you did. Tell a friend about the podcast, share the actual podcast, subscribe to the podcast. And we look forward to talking to you guys more next week, Thursday night, 7 p.m., right here on the same Bat Channel. All good.
Yeah.
Man. With that, I'm going to be out. Matt, take it easy. Talk to y'all soon.
All right, you
Have
too.
a great week. All right.
Sir.